video. My name is Anushka Gandhi and today I'm going to talk about job interview at Walmart. Now, as you guys might already know, Walmart is a multinational retail store and working here as their associate is said to be a prestigious job for most of the full-time students here and part-time job hunters. Now, when I came here, I still remember how people around me would talk about working at Walmart and how difficult it could be to get into Walmart only because of the interview process. It's not like any other interview wherein you just walk, give answers to a few questions and leave. It is a systematic process. There is a protocol which is followed for each one for every interview. So this video is going to help you with that. Now, please consider to subscribe to my channel. I wanted to request this before starting with the video. I've seen a lot of you guys watching my content and not hitting the subscribe button, not hitting the like button. So I request you to do so. Okay, so now in order to apply a job at Walmart, you need to first prepare a good resume. It should be in a proper Canadian format. If you are one who doesn't know how to make it, you can find it in the description box. I'll put a link of the video which I have prepared only to show how to prepare a resume for applying jobs here in Canada. Okay, so that being said, once you have your resume in your hand, now you need to approach either Indeed.com or you could just go on Walmart's self site, wherein you just have to find out what positions they have open for your desired location. For example, you've got a few stores around wherein you live nearby. You could just check out those stores, what positions they have available. I would ask you to apply for all open positions. For example, even if you have some positions open which you might not be interested in, try to apply for all irrespective of your interest, only because they may later on shift you or move you to some other department which could be one of your interests. For example, if you're selected for an overnight fulfillment associate position, if you have an interview for that and if they find your communication skills are good, if they find you have got a good customer service skill, they might shift you to a cashier position. So do not lose the opportunity. If you are genuinely willing to get a job at Walmart, try to apply for all open positions. Once you've applied that, the next step would be to get the assessment done. Now this is something which is more or like Q&A kind of thing, wherein they'll know how your customer service is. Things like they'll give you some scenarios. For example, if you have to deal with a customer, what would you do in that situation? Some mathematical questions just to know how your math knowledge is in case you've applied for a cashier position. So this is an assessment which you need to clear. Now, once you get your assessment done, the next step would be they'll send you an email that you've cleared your assessment and now you have to come in for an in-person job interview. Now, this is when the real game starts. Now, before heading towards your job interview, always do your homework well. Know about the store you're looking to work at. Know what Walmart is, who is the founder. For example, they would ask you questions about Sam Walton, who is the founder of Walmart. Besides the very famous 10-feet rule, which says that if you have a customer, if you are an associate and if you have a customer within 10 feet of your distance, it's your responsibility to give them a smile, greet them, and ask them if they need any assistance. So this is how you need to know a few things about how Walmart actually functions. What are the things, what are the protocols which they follow? It's not necessary they will eventually let you know everything, but the only reason is if they happen to ask you a question and if you answer that, you would stand out from all the interviewees there, and this is what is going to highlight about you. Now, interviews at Walmart could be of two types, but I would say 80% of the interviews conducted at Walmart are group interviews, whereas the rest of the 20% would be a one-on-one, or if they have just one applicant for that particular position, or if they have just handful applicants for the particular position. I also forgot to mention one thing. Once you get an interview call, you get an option to select your interview date and your interview time. They've got a few options. They'll give you their own calendar and you need to select your own spot. So if you will be along with a few people, it's mostly group interview wherein a lot of group discussion, a lot of brainstorming session is going to happen. Now, the first thing they'll do when you arrive there is you'll be standing in a bunch of people, a group of people who would be there for the same interview, for the same spots, for the same slot as you selected. The first thing they'll do is the interviewer or the supervisor or whomsoever is conducting the interview for you would approach you, would greet you, and would then give you 5 minutes to pick up a thing from the entire store which you could relate to. Now, the thing shouldn't be a perishable item, so it could be literally anything which you think you can talk about or you relate to. Now, in those 5 minutes, I pretty much remembered I was so confused because I had no clue we were supposed to do so, and then I happened to pick a blanket because I think it was winter back then, and then I was very new to Canada and it was very cold, and the only thing which I could relate to was a blanket, because that was the only thing which could make me comfortable. And then I remembered my first night when I was here, and I did not carry my blanket along when I came here, so I also knew the importance of not having it. So it was my own story, but again, you can pick. There were people who picked all sort of stuff. So once you bring your thing, you're supposed to sit in a hall. Now, this is going to be kind of a meeting room which is on the back side of the Walmart store, wherein the interviewer will ask you, each one of you, to talk about that thing for say a couple of minutes. You would also be asked to introduce yourself first and then talk about the things. Now, this is how the round 1 of interview would look like. Now, for round number 2, they'll take you to the back of the store, and there'll be a meeting room sort of room wherein you're supposed to sit like a round table on a round table, and they'll be asking you to read a paragraph. Now, they'll be providing you a passage wherein there'll be different paragraph, and each one of you will be supposed to read one paragraph. This is how they'll get to know what your reading skills are in terms of English language. And now you're also supposed to explain to others what you've understood from the paragraph. So you're supposed to talk a lot, because while you're doing this, the interviewer would be keenly observing each candidate in terms of how the person is talking, how confident he is, or how much engaged he is in the overall session. Now, after this is done, the next step would be now they would divide the entire group into 2 different groups, and now it's going to be a competition. I wouldn't say it a competition, but now you're supposed to answer to the questions in a group. For example, they'll give you all sort of questions for such as they'll give you a scenario. For example, what if a person walks in and he breaks a jar of pickle? Now, in that case, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to ask the customer to pay for it? Are you supposed to ask the customer to, like, don't worry, just take care and just leave, be careful? Or are you going to scream on the customer? So what and how you're going to react in terms of facing such situation in real life? So they basically want to know how you would react, or what your thoughts are in terms of behaving or approaching a customer. Now, remember, Walmart is a retail store. It's all about customers. So your customer is the god. Whatever answers you give, always give it in preference to the customer. Always give your preference to the customer, because Walmart has got some store policies wherein you're supposed to behave in a sophisticated manner. So even in terms of approaching a customer who is trying to steal things, who is trying to rob in the store, you are supposed to approach the customer in a systematic way, and they're going to train you all about it later in the on-job training or during your shifts. So in terms of answering these questions, always make sure you answer them professionally. Always give the customer your first priority. This is all about it. I mean, all those questions you would have to answer as a group. You would first have to discuss it in a group and then answer it. Now, they will decide who wins from those 2 groups. Again, there's no such winner. It's nothing like if your group wins, all of you are selected. It's nothing like that. They're just trying to have you engaged in this interview session. Again, the interviewer would be observing you while you're doing all of it. So always try to be talkative. Even if you are someone who's silent, try to be talkative during the interview, because that's what they're going to look for. So after you're done with your interview, after you're done with your group session, which is going to be apparently the last session of this interview, the next thing they'll have you do is fill up a form. Now this form will have all your details, for example, what position you're looking to apply for, or what position you've applied for, which position you might also like to work for, your name, your residence, if you're a student or if you're a full-time worker, if you're on your work permit, your study permit, if you're a permanent resident. So all sort of details. The most important thing that would be asked in this form would be your availability. Now what I would suggest is try to keep your availability open, or even if you're a student, even if you're working, looking to work just part-time and have got a lot of lot of studies to do, lot of lectures to attend, still try to keep it open, because eventually Walmart is going to adjust with your timing. So eventually they would give you shifts only which are preferred by you, which are okay for you. So keep it open. If you like on the form, if you mention like, oh, I've just got say 4 hours in a day, 2 hours in a day, 5 hours in a day, they might not select you as a great candidate if they've got someone else who's got an open availability, even if that person might have not performed as well as you did during the interview. So try to keep it open. You can manipulate it later on once you get your shift timing. So do not think a lot about it. Now, like I've mentioned, I think that's all. That's how you bid goodbye to the interviewers there, and that's how you leave the place. But again, this all process might sound a lot more like too much for you, would be like too much coming, but trust me, it's easy and it's fun. So take it as fun. I wouldn't say like take it very lightly. Like do it as you're doing for a job interview. Give your 100% there, but also enjoy the process. Also enjoy working at Walmart, because eventually it's going to be all fine. They've got a lot of good policies there. I enjoyed working there as a part-time worker while I was a student. So it's kind of great working there. Now, I would also like to mention one thing. Once you get your job, once all your interviews sorted, you should expect a response from them, a positive or a negative response from them within a week. Now, within 5-6 days. Usually they reply in a couple of days, but the most I would say is a week or 5-6 days, wherein they will respond you if you've got the job, if you're not. If you've got the job, then they'll ask you to do a few procedures. For example, your security check, your police check, or things like that. And then once you're all set, you're all set. I think, yeah, for a full-time student, for a part-time job hunter, it's great opportunity to work in Walmart. Yeah, I think that's all about today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to comment down below. I'll make sure I'll answer all of them. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. You'll find a lot of informative stuff. You'll find a lot of fun stuff here coming soon. So yeah, we'll see you next time in my next video. Until then, goodbye.